You're in open session? Mic check?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm going to go ahead and put you on mute.
Okay, sounds good.
the meeting in order. I mean, I could read it if you want me to.
Welcome to the Antelope Valley Union High School District Board of Trustees meeting. This board meeting is being recorded. Anyone wishing to observe the meeting may do so via AVUHSD's YouTube channel. Individuals may take photographs or record meetings provided the individual's conduct does not constitute a disruption, including obstructing the views of others. Those wishing to address items on the agenda and matters that are not on the agenda but within the jurisdiction of the AVUHSD board shall do so in person, complete a speaker form, and give it to the designee before the public comment portion of the meeting. The speaker form must be given to Ms. Orozco before the board president announces the item. Once the item has been called, we will no longer accept new cards. Ms. Orozco will call the individual's name to come up to the podium to provide their comments. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. The total time for public input on each item shall be limited to 20 minutes. Non-agendized items are limited to a total allotment of 20 minutes. Only one person is permitted to stand at the podium at a time. No speaker may relinquish a time allotment to another speaker. The district encourages members of the public to attend board meetings and to address the board concerning any item on the agenda or within the board's jurisdiction. The board does not prohibit public criticism of its policies, procedures, programs, services, acts, or omissions. Similarly, the board does not prohibit public criticism of district employees. Speakers are cautioned that no person is immune from liability for making intentionally false or defamatory comments simply because those comments are made at a public meeting. Attendees are also reminded of the board's civility policy, Policy 1313. This civility policy requires that members of the district staff will treat parents and other members of the public with respect and expect the same in return. The district is committed to maintaining disruption-free board meetings. The board will not permit any disturbance or willful interruption of its board meetings. Persistent disruption by an individual or group are grounds to terminate the privilege of addressing the board. Persistent disruption by an individual shall be grounds for the board president to terminate the individual's privilege to address the board. The district promotes mutual respect, civility, and orderly conduct among district board members, district employees, parents, and the public. The district seeks public cooperation with this endeavor.
Mr. President, just a point of clarification. This is a special board meeting. There are no comments for unagendized items, comments on agendized only.
Yes, sir, that is true. All right, we'll do roll call. Mrs. Corona,
Present.
Mrs. McGrady,
Present.
Mr. Sanchez,
Present.
Mrs. Nguyen. And I'm present, and Mr. Delgado is not present. All right, closed session. Are there any comments from the public on closed session items?
We don't have any comments for closed session.
Okay, we will go ahead and go into our closed session, and we'll reconvene at 7 o'clock. convene.
Welcome to the Antelope Valley Union High School District Board of Trustees meeting. This board meeting is being recorded. Anyone wishing to observe the meeting may do so via AVUHSD's YouTube channel. Individuals may take photographs or record meetings provided the individual's conduct does not constitute a disruption, including disrupting the views of others. Those wishing to address items on the agenda and matters that are not but within the jurisdiction of the AVUHSD board shall do so in person, complete a speaker form, and give it to the designee before the public comment portion of the meeting. The speaker form must be given to Ms. Orozco before the board president announces the item. Once the item has been called, we will no longer accept new cards. Ms. Orozco will call the individual's name to come up to the podium to provide their comments. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. A total time for public input on each item shall be limited to 20 minutes. Non-agendized items are limited to a total allotment of 20 minutes. Only one person is permitted to stand at the podium at a time. No speaker may relinquish a time allotment to another speaker. The district encourages members of the public to attend board meetings and to address the board concerning any item on the agenda or within the board's jurisdiction. The board does not prohibit public criticism of its policies, procedures, programs, services, acts, or omissions. Similarly, the board does not prohibit public criticism of district employees. Speakers are cautioned that no person is immune from liability for making intentionally false or defamatory comments simply because those comments are made at a public meeting. Attendees are also reminded of the board's civility policy, policy 1313. This civility policy requires that members of the district staff will treat parents and other members of the public with respect and expect the same in return. The district is committed to maintaining disruption-free board meetings. The board will not permit any disturbance or willful interruption of its board meetings. Persistent disruption by an individual or group are grounds to terminate the privilege of addressing the board. Persistent disruption by an individual shall be grounds for the board president to terminate the individual's privilege to address the board. The district promotes mutual respect, civility, and orderly conduct among district board members, district employees, parents, and the public. The district seeks public cooperation with this endeavor.
Mr. President, just a reminder, this is a special board meeting, so there are only comments from the public on agendized items.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Understand. All right, we're going to go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Sanchez.
Thank you.
As always. Right. Are there any comments from the public on agendized items? I do have some in front of me. We will start with, I'm sorry, I don't want, is it Michael Oki, the second? Welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As I want to make sure this board understands, I'm not finding myself in an unusual position speaking, whether it's in front of this board or another board. I'm here to make sure that this board follows procedures properly. And I'm concerned that maybe somebody should approve this one board policy 9124 attorney. The second to last and last paragraph are in direct competition with each other. So you can't indicate that the superintendent will provide the board with desired legal information if the majority of the board wants it, and then say at the next closed meeting, the superintendent will provide the board with legal information. Somebody might want to double check that. If your attorney read it, we might want to have a talk with him too. Now, I don't want to see this board, this district waste money. Our children need to be taken care of. And they're only taken care of if we are wise stewards of the funds that are entrusted to us. And it's the board's job not to run the schools, but to set direction. That gentleman has to run the schools. I'm hearing a lot from this board that they're trying to run schools. Let's be careful. Don't step on the feet of the people you've hired to run your schools. Now, I noticed that we're making a change also in here from Board of Trustees to Governing Board. And I hope the board doesn't think that means that their obligations or their abilities change because of a couple of words. You're still the board of a public education entity. And there are many, like myself, who will be here meeting after meeting, reminding all of you of that. And reminding the public whose money you're spending about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Does the board have anything to say? Explain this, Marguerite? Okay, no. All right. We will move on to Miss White. Karen, you're up. And Karen, you have 3 cards. You have 3 minutes. So you incorporate all 3 of your points because this is a comment on agendized items being plural.
And each one of those is a different alphabet.
That's okay. You can talk about agendized items. You have 3 minutes.
Well, I speak with you again concerning the board policy and changes in the title to governing board. Even the Los Angeles Unified School District do not consider themselves as a governing board, only a board of education. And consequently, that's exactly what we are, is a trustees board, and you have different areas for that. One of the other things that you have on this agenda tonight is concerning the things that the gentleman before me just spoke to you about, and that is having a majority of board members giving authority for a superintendent to divulge legal terms and stuff that's taken place. And consequently, I don't see anything as far as this being transparent that you seem to be really entrusting on. And that is basically a contradiction if you're not going to make sure that the board knows what's going on legally. And you have to have a board majority in order for him to discuss this with you guys. Maybe that needs also to be taken into consideration. And then the last one is, I don't know whether or not you're going to be taking any consideration or vote concerning the contract with the Fagan, Friedman, and Full Frost law firm. But Mr. Hughes, last week you mentioned that the district has grown too comfortable with using their law firm, which I submit has nothing to do with being comfortable. The Antelope Valley Union High School District, our Valley and other school districts use the F3 firm and their services. And that only shows that they are retained for their legal advice and shows that they are able to give enough advice to keep a district away from long and lengthy and drawn out litigation. The F3 firm is recognized by CSEA, other unions, and other school districts, and is one of California's most reputable law firms. I would rather be using a legal firm that has a long standing than test the waters. And for Fagan, Friedman, and Full Frost, they've always given our district sound counsel, and I would expect nothing less from them.
30 seconds.
Right. Vivian, thank you for your comments, Karen.
President, Vice President, Clerk, Roscoe, Ms. Ramos. Welcome to see you all and my board attendant,
Welcome.
welcome to see you all. Welcome. I'm gonna say this real quick. I'm just so amazed that I'm sitting here in front of this board, knowing that I've been coming here since 2020 when Dr. Ruffin assisted me with everything on the sense of coming for the reason of what I came for, which is our son's issue. But the reason why I'm here, and I'm shocked to hear what everyone is saying about what's going on about these laws and rules about 9124 or Fagan and Friedman, all this stuff. It's amazed me that I didn't see all these people. I know that the agenda for what they're speaking of, why they're here, is for the CSE or whatever that is and all that. I'm not even going to act like I know all this stuff, but I'm going to say this. No one was coming when all the same madness was going on with certain people on that whole board when you guys were not here. The madness that Fagan, Friedman, that one that Jay Furno did when I was up in here, he came after a parent who came after parents talking about the coaches over there calling kids niggas at the school at Highland. But nobody from the CSI, none of y'all, whoever's here now, wasn't here when it was going down, when Dr. Ruffin was being harassed by this here Jay Furno, who I watched personally be a so-called general counsel for last superintendent, that he wasn't getting paid, just sat here personally on doing different things that he was doing. When you board people, not you all, but these two know he was not even paid. He was not even supposed to be here at times when Dr. Rupp and the rest of you all would say, you don't have a contract. So how is he sitting here representing so-called David Vieira when he wasn't even on the board and they know it? So you're sitting here acting like he's so legit and he's so good. Well, he came after parents when I have to ask for certain things like, can I get a public, the public paperwork that you could get from you all when you have these meetings? My paperwork was being sent to his butt. What for? What was my stuff going to Jay Furno? I said, why is Lynn and the legal people, when I'm trying to do a complaint, sending stuff to his dang company if he's not representing people and wasn't even here? So I'm gonna say this. You want Fagan and Friedman because you two, and you know who you are, and the ones that are still running the behind scene, not you all, you here to do one thing. You're doing the job that I'm so blessed and thankful for you three to be here, because you know and I know this community know who's running this behind the scenes about what this one want and what that one want and what the rest of the people know that's going on. You want Fagan Friedman because guess what? When Dr. Ruffin read your rights and let it be known, the transparency with the doggone Antelope Valley Press, with the certain people on this board that they know that they're racist, I'm gonna say it because they know that they are, with teachers coming
30
out,
seconds.
they went and did that dirty thing, and he allowed it, Jay Furno. So don't say that this man is doing nothing. You're mad because that money trail ain't here no more. You so mad because you can't get what was going on that they found about it. Things are in court right now, but nobody want to know that things are in court. But you guys are wrong as far as those two and who wants that Jay Furno, because what's up? Can't have a new black man? That's the problem that Bob Davis and them had to say what was going on. They don't like to see no color in here because you're doing your dirt behind the scenes. So I'm gonna say it like that. Hell no to goddamn Fagan Friedman. That's my opinion. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. All right. We will move to C, approval of the proposed revision to board bylaw 9100 organization. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve the proposed revisions to board bylaw 9100 organization. I will make a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion, Ms. McGrady.
Certainly. I believe at our last meeting, I was fairly explicit about what I thought. It came to me this morning, actually, that if a president is unable to learn the job in a year, possibly we should allow someone else to try to do the job in a year. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
How many times have you been president of this board, Ms. McGrady?
Twice and secretary twice
Ms.
in
Nguyen.
12 years. In 12 years.
That's good. Ms. Nguyen. Do you have any
Yes, I
comments?
have a comment as well. I was just wondering if, Mr. Nehan, do you mind just reading the section that's going to be changed? I mean, it's not on the agenda and it's not on our screen. And I know maybe the public would like to.
Mr. Nehan, did you publish the actual 9100 for everybody to see?
Yes,
And we did that last time, correct? And we did it again this time?
yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Ms. Nguyen, what's your request?
Just that you read it. I mean, it's not on our screen and it's not being shown to the.
So
people in
the first change is changing Board of Trustees to Governing Board, which is consistent with CSBA's recommendation. And then the next change is the last line, and it's a line out of the statement, no board member shall serve more than one consecutive year in the same office.
And Mr. Nehan, that was CSBA's recommendations to change that language for governing board.
For governing board, correct?
Yeah, so that's
For
organization.
consistency's sake.
Okay,
The three terms are used interchangeably, but for consistency's sake, governing board.
okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Nehan.
Ms.
Um,
Corona.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up, I'm glad that you mentioned this, Mr. Nehan, but the governing board in all of the bylaws, at least since I've been on this board, it's been changed to governing board. And I'm just so curious as to why is it matter now? You know, because it's been changed into the highlighted yellow governing board. So I just find that curious. And also, I'll just repeat what I said last time, that I feel like if somebody is setting our foundation of leadership, whomever that is, I'm glad that we're striking that
Mr.
statement out.
Sanchez.
I already did my personal research already.
All
Yeah.
right, I have no comments, so let's vote. I will vote yes. Ms. Corona, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Sanchez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. McGrady, how do you vote?
No.
Ms. Nguyen, how do you vote?
This is a kind of a tough one because I don't mind changing the board name to, I'm sorry, I'm back to discussion, but the
Yeah, we're
board
not in
name to
discussion.
governing
We're-
board, but
Ma'am, we're not in discussion. You can cast your vote if you want, or you can abstain. It's either yes, no, or abstention.
I'm gonna vote yes,
All right.
because someday I
All
might
right,
be board
thank you.
president.
We will move
two
to
times.
D. Approve the proposed revision to Board Bylaw 9124 attorney. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve the proposed revisions to Board Bylaw 9124 attorney. I will make the motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Discussion, Ms. McGrady.
Yes, as I said at the last meeting, I believe that we should be able to trust our attorney to speak, our superintendent to speak with the attorney. And I don't think he needs to report to us on every conversation he has with the attorney.
Okay, Ms. Nguyen.
In all my years of being on the board, I've never, ever called our attorney. I've never had to. But, and so whatever reason a board member may want to call and talk to an attorney, I feel that that's kind of a confidential conversation. And if I have a question, I go to Mr. Nehan. And I trust in his response. So I feel like the confidentiality is an issue. I also feel that transparency is an issue. We're responsible to the public for how we spend the money, and this doesn't really indicate how we're spending the money.
The bylaw has nothing to do with how we're spending money. The bylaw has to do with transparency of if a superintendent is speaking about issues, legal issues. This board, who oversees Mr. Nehan, Mr. Nehan is our only employee in this district, that we as a board should be privy to those legal issues. And that's just our role as a governing board or an overseer of this district. That's what the people elected us to do, and that's what I believe we should do. But I do have a couple questions, Mr. Nehan, in this discussion phase, because I think some people they don't quite get this. And I even had some good conversations with Mr. Nehan about this. And the part where the board would give Mr. Nehan directions, I'm going to give an example. Let's say there's AB 22 out there, and AB 22 has some impact to this district. This board with the majority has the ability to go, Mr. Nehan, can you go talk to our attorneys, give us a full update on AB 22, and then bring it back to the board to educate us. That's what that first section says, correct, Mr. Nehan?
The first sentence in the second to the last paragraph gives me the permission from the board to consult legal counsel. The second piece is what gives the board the ability to give me direction to seek legal information and then bring that back to the board.
And you have absolute authority to speak to our attorneys anytime you want, correct?
Yes,
You're running this district, correct?
yes.
Day to day, every day?
It feels like 8 days a week,
And you speak to the attorneys all the time?
very regularly.
Okay, and you've enjoyed that, correct? enjoyed that luxury to do that. your
Oh, the
whole
ability
tenure.
to, yes, yes.
Okay.
I think it's necessary.
And we haven't tried to stifle that. This bylaw allows you to continue to do that, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then if we give you direction as a majority of the board sitting up here to go research something for us and bring it back to us, you're okay with that, correct?
Yes, and AB 22 is a great example of something that would be given to bring information back to the board.
Okay, great. Now, the second part of that is if you speak with attorneys in closed session, because we don't want to waive our attorney-client privilege, you will tell us, hey, this is what I'm doing. If for some other reason than our direction, you wanted to talk to Mr. Jabari Willis about something else,
Yes,
you would come back and say, all right, board, I'm speaking on this issue. This is a concern I have. I talked to counsel and this is what counsel said.
yes,
Do you have any problem doing that?
no,
Okay, and then if I, as the president, need to talk to, I have a question and I call Mr. Willis and I say, here's the issue, then I have the responsibility to tell everybody, cabinet board, in a closed session, not to waive attorney-client, why I'm speaking to him, correct?
correct.
Okay, and that's what you see this bylaw change is saying?
That's correct.
Do you have any concerns with this?
No,
Okay, thank you. Do you have any comments? Do you have any comments?
Well, just the only thing is that the attorney will be the best advisor for us, for our district. So I don't see why we wouldn't have them around us, especially with the deal with law. It's like a business. If I run a business, I got to make sure I run it with clarity, not just for myself, but whoever's attached to it too. So it wouldn't make sense not to have them around.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and call for the vote. I'm going to vote yes. Ms. Corona, how are you going to vote?
Yes.
Mr. Sanchez, how are you going to vote?
Yes.
Mrs. McGrady, how are you going to vote?
Yes.
I'm gonna hold off for
This is not time for
transparency.
discussion.
So
It's a
my
yes,
vote-
a no,
my
or
vote-
an abstention.
Excuse me, Mr. Hughes. My vote is no.
Okay, great. Awesome. Motion carries. All right. Going to move into E, consideration of the agreement for legal services with Fagan, Freeman, and Frost. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees consider the agreement for legal services, Fagan, Freeman, and Full Frost. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, discussion, Ms. McGrady.
Certainly. So you want me to read the letter from them?
No, I knew that was going to be your playbook. Let's go ahead and read the book. I already
Oh,
knew
okay.
that that's
Okay,
what you
thank
were
you.
going to do.
Okay, so this is a letter from F3. Dear members of the governing board, we are writing in response to recent developments concerning the legal services agreement between the Antelope Valley and our firm. We appreciate that due to the contract terminating on June 30th, 2023, the board is considering its renewal tonight. To this end, we wanted to take this opportunity to provide clarity on certain matters that have come to our attention. We only learned yesterday afternoon of today's special board meeting considering our contract. Excuse me. Unfortunately, due to the late notice, we are not able to have an attorney there in person. We are submitting this letter to the board for its consideration and request that it be added to the board meetings minutes. As you likely are aware, this board unanimously approved of our legal services agreement a mere 6 months ago. Although our contracts usually have a term of at least 1 year, because this was signed mid-year, it had a short term, and we sought renewal for the 2023-2024 school year. During the term of the agreement, no concerns were raised regarding the quality and efficacy of our service or dedication to the district's best interest. The first and only concern we heard regarding our legal service was when the board president, to our surprise, alleged that an F3 attorney was disrespectful towards a parent. Upholding a culture of respect and inclusivity is fundamental to our firm's values, and we treat all allegations of misconduct seriously. As such, when we heard such allegations, we took immediate action to investigate them and concluded that the allegations are without merit. They simply are not true. If such conduct had in fact occurred, we would have expected at a minimum for those concerns to be raised with F3 directly rather than in a public forum when we are not present and we could not defend our attorney or our firm's reputation. Beyond the public statements made by the board president and reiterated in multiple newspaper stories, no representative from the district, other board members, district administration, or even the district's general counsel has corroborated the board president's allegation or reached out to anyone at our firm to address these allegations of misconduct. Conduct allegedly so serious that it would be cited as the basis for a decision to not renew our contract after a decades-long relationship. In addition, we've been made aware of a misunderstanding that the board president believes our firm, in essence, resigned when we heard that the board would not be considering our contract renewal and that we would not provide legal services unless we had all of the district's business. We assure you this is a misconception and is not true. I note that our legal services agreement is not exclusive and the district is free to send as much or as little work to us as desired. Throughout our almost 20-year partnership, we have consistently demonstrated our enthusiasm for providing legal expertise to the district. Regardless of the scope of the work we are assigned, F3 attorneys gladly served alongside the district's general counsel and other outside legal counsel to deliver the highest standard of legal guidance and services. Our history of collaboration underscores our commitment to furthering the district's mission and supporting its students. We want to make it clear that we would be honored to continue to serve the district in whatever capacity and regardless of the type of amount of work to which we would be assigned. In closing, we are realistic regarding our chances of having our contract renewed. We want to thank you for the time to clarify the situation and hopefully preserve the positive relationships that we've spent 20+ years building in the Antelope Valley. Thank you for your understanding and consideration. We extend our best wishes for the district's future endeavors.
Anything else?
Yes, excuse me, let me get a little bit of water. Yep. Thank you. Just need to clarify a couple of statements that have been made lately. 20 years ago, I was a teacher in this district. I've not been on the board 20 years. I'm in my 12th year right now, which I'm very proud of, that I've given this district 12 years after I retired from teaching, but I have not been on the board 20 years. So I wanted to kind of clarify that because you mentioned that a couple of times at our last meeting. In addition, it's been stated that I have this close relationship with Jay Furno. Our attorney for the district was Bridget Cook for most of for 20 years. So I worked with Bridget Cook most of the time until the previous board fired her. And so once she was fired, then Jay Furno took over some of those responsibilities. But even then, they were not our only firm. Just felt like we needed to clarify some of those misunderstandings because it's not like I've known them for 20 years and we're best friends. No, I'm not sure I'd ever really, I've met him a couple of times in different kind of negotiations, but until Bridget Cook was fired and he took over as board attorney, that's when I started working with him. So it's only been a couple of years.
Strange. Did
Thank
he
you.
help you write your brief for that small claims action that
Say
they
it again?
sued you? Did he help you write that brief that you submitted for your small claim action? Or was there an F3 attorney in that courtroom? I'm just
For my
asking a
small
question.
claims court that Bob Davis sued me? Yes, he did not.
So,
No,
so
he
Furno
did
helped
not.
you?
He did not do it.
Oh, Furno didn't write that for
He
you?
did not.
Was he there with you?
No, he did. He
an
was not.
F3 attorney in the room? I'm
Is
just
it-
asking.
Okay.
I'm just
yes,
asking.
yes, he was. Okay.
So an
Yeah, by the
F3
way,
attorney was at your
when a-
small
when a
claims
board
court. Okay, I'm
member
glad
is
you admitted
sued,
it.
our
Ms. Nguyen, do you have
attorneys
anything?
Represent us.
Yes, thank you.
Bob
He is
Davis
not.
sued me,
Yeah, well,
and
I-
so
I
an
control-
attorney was there with me.
In small
that-
claims
Is that
court, where
in
you're
small-
not supposed to
where
have an
he
attorney.
lost all across the board?
Okay, that's cool. Ms. Nguyen, your turn.
It is cool.
It's good for you. And I know it
Thank
was
you.
traumatic for you.
Thank you.
That sucks.
It wasn't dramatic. It was horrible.
Yeah,
I got
terrible.
sued for
Just kind of like Vivian,
$10,000.
kind of like Vivian, but go ahead, Ms. Nguyen. No, Miss Vivian, hold on, stop. We can't have comments from the public. Go ahead, Ms. Nguyen. And you're doing it again, ma'am. Ma'am, you need to stop. Vivian, you need to stop. All right, or I'm gonna have to remove both of you. Go ahead, Ms. Nguyen. Ma'am, if you keep continuing to disrupt, I'm gonna have to remove you, okay? Will you please stop? Thank you. All right, Ms. Nguyen, it's your turn.
Well, I actually have been, it's almost been 20 years that I've been on the board.
I think-
And for those 20 years that the district has worked with Fagan, Friedman, and Fullfrost, and I have not seen anything or experienced anything that would tell me that they did not do a good job for the district. I'm not personal friends. I never made a phone call to them. And they've never actually made a phone call to me. But I still feel that our original vote in January was for the 3 different law firms, and they would be performing different services for the district. So I feel that that was fair back then. So,
Okay, anything else, Ms. Nguyen?
well, that's it.
I mean, I like that letter you read, Ms. McGrady. I read it too. It was kind of comical on a couple of things. They did their own investigation and concluded that, that their attorney didn't disrespect a parent. I'm sure that parent could probably come up here and explain that she felt very disrespected. I know what I saw, and I know that that attorney disrespected that mom. Ms. Corona, did you observe the same? And what was your opinion?
You're asking me if I observed an action of disrespect towards another human being, especially in that setting? Yes.
Okay, and Mr. Sanchez, did you observe the same thing in that setting, that that attorney disrespected that
Happened
parent?
right in front of us, yeah.
Yeah. Now, Ms. Nguyen, did you see that? Did you not feel that that was disrespectful when you saw there and sat in that room?
Am I reporting on a closed session?
I'm not, no. I'm not talking, did you see an F3? Well, she just read a letter.
I'd like to talk to Jabari about whether I can even comment.
You know, you discuss closed sessions most of the time, but we'll get to that. What about you, Ms. McGrady? Did you find that was disrespectful?
I guess what I would ask you, if you find interrupting someone disrespectful, how do you answer for your behavior?
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. There you go. And sir, can you hold on? This discussion up here, you guys gotta remain quiet. Okay, you didn't feel that was disrespectful though?
I did not see anything disrespectful.
Yeah, that, I'm pretty sure. Okay.
Of course, I've been working with you for 4 or 5 months now, so,
Eight.
okay, oh my.
This seems like a long
8
time.
months.
Probably only about 2 years, Miss McGrady.
So I
but
guess
it'll be
I'm
about 2
saying,
years only.
I no longer see interruption as being disrespectful because you do it at every meeting.
Okay, is that what you saw the F3
I
attorney
didn't see
doing
that.
to the parent? Okay,
No,
I'm good.
didn't
I
see
was
it.
trying to be good, doing my best. Okay. I think Vivian's got up here, and I think she even said that the F3 attorneys disrespected her. And she talks about how the F3 attorneys disrespected Dr. Ruffin. But I think I've made my point on this point. Mr. Sanchez, do you want to discuss this article or this?
Well, I didn't know who F3 was until I met them here. Once I become a trustee, I considered them in the beginning and everything until I lost trust after what we all saw behind the scenes with the parent. Disrespectful to a parent should not be of value in our district. And that's one thing that I'm all about, the parental rights and everything. So no matter what, even if we're wrong, we got to hear them out. Because every parent that's out there, I'm always reaching out to people through social media to come out here to speak up. So without them, there's no us. And I'm a big believer on that.
Well, I just want to piggyback on what Mrs. Nguyen mentioned with, in January, we took the vote to have them as a contract. So I approved along with, I believe it was the majority, that they would still be doing work with us. So January, February, March, April, May, I believe it was in June that we received that letter that you also referred to, Mrs. McGrady, in that letter you just read about.
That was the one that which we just got today.
Yeah, that we just got today, but the previous letter, it was them, I interpret it as, I'm done, we're done. So then I thought, okay, they don't want to work with us. Great, or fine. I'm very confident in Mr. Willis. I'm very confident in Dominic and the firm. We listened to several hours of presentations and anyway, so I take it as they almost feel like they've reached their capacity with us as well. So that's what I've interpreted. And so I just don't even know why we're still talking about this. I want us to be done with this.
Okay. I will just go ahead and call for the vote. I'm going to vote definitely no on this agreement. Ms. Corona, how do you vote?
No,
Mr. Sanchez, how do you vote?
No.
Ms. McGrady, how do you vote?
Yes,
Ms. Nguyen, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Oh, well, the majority has it. All right. All right. Do you have anything to leave from?
There's nothing to report.
There's nothing to report from closed session. It is recommended that the board adjourn the meeting. I will make a motion to adjourn. Any discussion on adjourning? You guys want to stick around? Yes, not. All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Seeing none, so moved. Meeting is over.